So we are going to get started this afternoon. Our topic is a time I wish I had an undo button. We all have those crossroads, and we turned right and we wish we had turned left. Or maybe we wish we didn't hit that crossroad at all. So you're going to hear a variety of experiences somehow connected to that topic. I'm not going to tell you anything about the storytellers or the stories until after they have spoken. All right, our last scheduled storyteller for the afternoon, Mr. Clay Hurtubise.
So I was hiking in the Tetons with a buddy, and I had to go into the shrubs to do what a bear does in the woods. When I stood up and looked around, I could see him about a quarter of a mile away from me. I said, I got to hustle. So I jumped down on the trail, and I started running as fast as I could. I run around this corner, and wham! I literally run into the rear end of a female moose laying on the trail, licking her newborn calf. All these red flags go up. I hit her so hard, I was on top of her back. One hand was reaching her belly, the other was on her backbone, and my feet were in her. And I'm like, how do I get down? I didn't want to push too hard to make her think that I was being aggressive. My face was buried in her back. So I pick my head up. She slowly turns her head towards me with these big eyes. And I go, hi, Mama Moose. How are you? Oh, you so pretty. Look at that calf. Oh, isn't she darling? And I'm doing all this baby talk while I'm trying to figure out how to get off of her. And I'm pushing backwards and pushing backwards. Finally, my feet reached the ground. I didn't dare to run because that might alert her or make her angry. So I did what anyone would do. I was smoothing her coat down where I had landed on her. And I'm telling her how pretty she is and what a beautiful coat this is. And I said, I'm really impressed with this. And I'm backing up and backing up. And as soon as I get around the corner, I dart up off the trail and start running for my buddy. And I don't quit. And I run up to him, and he's like, whoa, Clay, whoa. Slow down on this trail. There's moose on here. Oh. Well, the next day I went to climb Mount Tiwanaut, and it was raining, and I was alone. It's over 12,000 feet high, and it starts around 3,000 or 4,000 feet, so it's a good day hike. And about a half hour into it, the sun breaks from the rain, and one of the most beautiful sights I've ever seen. It's this field with flowing tall grass, wet from the rain, glistening in the sun. There's a doe with her fawn on the edge, an eagle overhead. It's a Norman Rockwell moment. And I'm so inspired by this beauty that I'm trying to etch it into my head so I'll never forget it. And I don't. And I'm not paying attention to the rest of the world. And I hear this whomp. This black bear cub had fallen out of a pine tree about 40 feet in front of me. And it takes and it runs right by me into the shrubs. And I think, Clay, that's not a good thing. And so I'm looking up the tree. Whomp! The second bear falls out of the tree. It follows its sibling and goes, okay, that's doubly not good. So now I'm scouring the tree for more cubs. And I'm looking up and looking up. And about 20 or 30 feet up, I lock eyes with Mama Bear. Roar! She lets me know who's in charge. And she opens her arms and legs and treats the tree like a fireman's pole. And she drops. Branches are breaking, bark is flying. I'm scared witless. And about 10 or 15 feet off the ground, she just completely falls to the ground. Her back is towards me, but she quickly spins around, raises herself up with her paws, trying to reach the sky, and gives me another mighty roar, like the first one wasn't sufficient. And I don't know what to do, so I do what anybody would do. I take my camera and try to take a picture. In my mind, I can visualize my chest being ripped open, And I had told my climbing buddy, if the weather's bad, I might bivouac on the mountain and not be back for another day. And I deeply regretted that comment at that moment. And so I put the camera away, and she looks at me again. She raises up, and then 3 times, 1, 2, 3. She stomps the ground with both her paws, and instead of a roar, there's this deep guttural growl coming from her. The rangers tell you that when a black bear does that, curl up into a ball. No freaking way. So she's looking at me, and I had learned my baby talk with the moose. So I'm going, oh, aren't you a pretty bear? Look at you, Mama Bear. Don't you want your cubs? Go get your cubs. And I'm continuing this silly talk. And she methodically places one paw and then another. And she just comes and makes a beeline for me. And so every time she moved a front leg, I walked forward. And we kept going that way and just getting closer and closer. She's coming up to me. I can smell her. She's that close. She comes right beside me and swings her hips and throws me off the trail. And I just keep going. I am so scared, I don't dare turn around. I'm afraid she'll change her mind, and I'll be that ripped up corpse they find. So I keep walking, and about 100 feet later, 2 guys are on a rock, and they scream out, "Hey!" My reply could be heard in Montana. And so they say, "What's wrong with you?" And I said, "I just had an encounter with a bear. And there are these berry fields about a half hour down. They think that's where it was." And I said, "No, about 100 feet back." And they said, "Oh, can we climb with you?" And I said, "Sure, but I'm going for the summit." So they start climbing with me, and it starts to snow. You know those big, fat snowflakes that when they land on your neck and they melt and that drop goes down your spine into the Netherlands, and it just makes you chill like that. Well, it was coming down these big fat snowflakes, and the rock was all slippery. We're above tree line at this point, and they decide it's too difficult, so they turn around. I keep going. Around the 10,000 foot mark, it's snowing so hard, my visibility is about 0. And I'm trying to feel my way up Mount Tiwanaut, and I can't feel another handhold. So I move over to my left, and my hand gets on an edge. And I'm thinking, this ain't right. And I stand there for a moment, and I can feel the vastness, the emptiness that surrounds me. And I just stand there for another moment, and the sun comes out. And I look down between my feet, and it's only about 2,000 feet to the valley floor. And my legs start shaking, and I'm trying to inch my way back off the ledge. It's about 2 feet wide, and there's no room for error, and everything's slippery. And then while the sun's out, I scout a better way up to the summit, because I'm definitely off trail. And so I start going, and it starts to snow again, and it's snowing heavy. Well, I make it to the summit, and the summit is about the size of one of these smaller tables. There's no room for group photos. The mountain literally comes to a peak. And there's actually 2 peaks to Tiwanaut. So I'm standing up there, and it's snowing, and I can't see, and I said, okay, this isn't the smartest thing you've done. So I lower myself down, and I go for the second peak. And when I'm on the second peak, again, the size of a table, the sun comes out, and it's glorious. The views from there are just fantastic. But it's a drop-off everywhere I look. So I have to retrace my steps, and I see the scree field that's described in the handbook that I should have come up. And so I head over, and I scurry down to tree line. And at that point, I put some rocks in one of my water bottles, and I put a sling on it and throw it over my shoulder so I make noise going down the trail. And I'm singing and doing all types of stupid things, and just making noise so I don't have another bear encounter. And I'm going down, and I'm hustling. And I think I hear a waterfall. Well, I go over to investigate over to my right. Sure enough, there's like a 20-foot waterfall. So I'm all sweaty from 1, the bear encounter, 2, running down the mountain. So I strip down completely, shoes, everything, put the glasses on a rock, and I go under, and it's really cold but very invigorating. And I'm just trying to get all the sweat off of me so I feel clean again. And I think I see a glint. So I go over, I get my glasses, and I stand on this big rock in front of the waterfall. And the sun comes out, and it's warm, and it feels great. And I look down, about 100 feet below me is the parking lot. Well, there's no need to rush. There's not much to see. They call it shrinkage. Thank you.
Clay was born and raised in Portland, Maine, and moved to Wyoming at 18 for college when he fell in love with the West. Most of his career he spent in pharmacies because he enjoyed the relationship between doctors, patients, and pharmacists. There was, however, that one summer that he worked cleaning out live sewers between his freshman and sophomore year of college. He has suffered 2 traumatic brain injuries and 1 major stroke. So the key word he would like you to remember is perseverance. He also encourages you to support the Big Brothers and Big Sisters program. How about another hand for Clay and for all of our storytellers today?